Okay, in this beautiful Memorial Day weekend, taking a real quick video here. Um, our dryer was malfunctioning, so I had to take it apart. I had to kind of research and figure out what was wrong with it. Last fall, I repaired the washing machine. I had to replace a little pump motor inside it because it was displaying a code indicating the drum wasn't draining. And so I went online and watched a DIY video, and it's pretty straightforward, easy to take apart yourself, and you just go through a series of steps. And anyway, I was able to repair that, and it worked fine. It drained. There's a little drain on the front, which is kind of cool. You can drain it if you move, and you're not hauling a big, heavy washer around full of water. And we actually bought that when we lived in Tennessee, and we brought it back across the country with us. But we had to replace this dryer when we moved back, and it's just shy of 5 years old. And because we donated our electric dryer to my brother-in-law's church when we lived back there, and because they didn't have electric hookup here, we had to buy this gas dryer, and it's just shy of 5 years old. And anyway, the drum wasn't shutting off. It's been it intermittently did this once before, but we were able to get it to work by unplugging it. We thought it was a control issue, but did a little bit of research, another DIY video. You take these two screws off on the back here, and you pop the top cover off, you slide it back, and it slides off. And then there it is right there. Pretty straightforward, easy to get off. You got this little plastic bracket here that clips to the control panel. The control panel is kind of stupid because the DIY videos I watched, you know, these varying models, you know, in the evolution of Samsung dryers. Ones in the video I watched, these clips are pretty straightforward. It was attached to that bracket, it's clipped to that bracket, and it's screwed here with 3 screws. That's pretty straightforward. But when it came to getting it off here, you know, it was anchored into these holes with some plastic clips, and it pivots out, but these clips were holding it into. They're hidden, and they're impossible to get to unless you have a special Samsung tool. So it was really stupid the way they did that, but I managed to get the thing off, and so here we are. And what's happening is the tumbler's not shutting off unless you unplug it. You physically unplug the dryer, which, you know, we had to do right here. We had to unplug it. There's the electrical cord, and I thought, well, maybe that rebooted the processor, but that didn't work. And so,
are you filming?
Yes. So anyway, it didn't work this time, although it's worked in the past. So here's the human interface keypad display module right here. It's connected with this little ribbon cable like multi-wire connector to the mechanical selector switch right here on the front. That's a mechanical selector switch right there. And here's your main PCB board, and this went right there where that is. Inside there, it mounted right here on a little bracket. It's attached to there with screws, and all these connectors plugged into it off your main harness, your main wiring harness. All those connectors plugged into it. And the technical documentation the manufacturer provided me with was somewhat helpful. It gives you a diagram of the board. It's your PLC board, your main PLC, programmable logic controller. They call it a PCB board, is the manufacturer's nomenclature. But little processor in there. Looks like the power supply is integrated into this board. Here's your incoming AC power. There's according to this diagram right here, there's a motor switch check. Plus, on the electrical schematic right here, it shows that's the electric and that's the gas dryer. It shows some centrifugal switches in the motor. I assume they're for proof that your motor's working. On your logic here, on your little controller. But what I found here is pretty straightforward. I was thinking the worst. We got a bad gas valve or a sensor, because it'll dry and it'll heat, but after it goes through its heating cycle, it continues to operate, and the timer doesn't time out. It doesn't count down. It's still displaying the same time. So after it's done through it with its dry cycle, the tumbler motor will just sit there and continue to run, and Even if you unplug it and plug it back in, it just doesn't stop. So what I found, I went online and saw some other videos this morning posted of some guys replacing this board, and what I found is a mechanical relay here. It's not a diac or a triac or anything like that, or an opto coupler. So it's just, this is the heater relay right here, and you can see on your continuity check, that's open. The contacts inside that are open when you test across the contacts with your probes on your meter. You're not getting a tone, but on your motor relay, it's stuck closed, so it failed shut. Sometimes they just weld shut with all the current and heat going through them. And anyway, a little $5 relay, I have to replace this whole entire board, this PCB board. It failed, so that's my Memorial Day weekend. But, you know, hopefully there's a wholesaler open tomorrow, but if not, I will have to go on Tuesday after I get off work to replace this board. And that's the incoming AC power right there. It has a door detection sensor, motor switch check. I thought it was a bad sensor or a bad gas valve or something, and these things even have steam valves in them, but we don't use that. And I saw some more research on it where they said sometimes the sensor fails in here, but if you get a piece of lint on it, or sometimes if you use those Drier, those static things, sometimes that can build up a waxy buildup, and sometimes those have to be replaced, those sensors. But we don't use it on with that sensor mode. We just used it on time, operated on time dry, so the computer should ignore that. But anyway, that's what we got here. So I got to replace that, pony up some cash for that board. I guess they're about $140 according to the research I've done online. So, and that's the status of it. It's kind of cool. They give you the resistance values of all these sensors and everything in the electrical circuit, so you can check those and verify that those are all good. It gives you the ohm values, you know, of all these various resistors. So they do provide that information, but I suspect when I replace these, I'm going to be going back to Maytag. But anyway, that's my weekend here. So I caught a lot of flack from my friends for buying foreign manufacturers. So anyway, take care, guys. Have a great Memorial Day, and that we're enjoying our wonderful freedom in this country for the sacrifice all our men and women in uniform have made for us. So have a wonderful Memorial Day.